travelers, it's Eliz from Means to Travel, coming to you today from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And Amsterdam is definitely on a lot of travelers' bucket lists. There are about 800,000 people that live here, but over 18 million people who visit every year. And so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 must-knows before you, as a tourist, come and visit Amsterdam.
Today's video is also sponsored by one of my favorite lifestyle and travel toiletries brands, Kitsch. More on them later.
So I am so excited to be back here in Amsterdam and filming this video today. I always love returning to this city. I have visited, fortunately, many times in my life. My opa, my grandfather, actually grew up here, close to the Vondel Park area in Amsterdam, and I just am really thrilled to be sharing with you all today my tips that I've learned from visiting here many times over. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So the very first must-know that I wanted to share before you visit is that Amsterdam is so much more than the Central Canal district, which is where I'm filming right now in the Jordaan neighborhood. But it is so much more than this Central Canal district and so much more than the infamous red light district. So there are over 800,000 people that live here in Amsterdam, like I had mentioned before, and there are tons of industries and companies that call this city home. So there are people of multiple professions, not just all of the vices that you might associate with Amsterdam. So definitely be sure to know that before coming here, that it's a very cosmopolitan city, and there are people that work in every sort of industry imaginable. The second must-know that I wanted to share is that when you are visiting here, if you're a native English speaker, most Dutch people do know at least conversational English. They actually start learning English at a very young age in school, and not just English. A lot of times they will know other languages beyond that too, such as German, French, Italian, etc. My Oppo knew 4 languages that he ended up learning in school. The society itself is a polyglot, but specifically if you're an English speaker and you're watching this video, do be sure to know that you're most likely going to be able to get by very easily with just knowing English and not knowing many words in Dutch. That being said, I always recommend learning some of the basics in order to endear yourself to the locals in their local language. So within the Dutch language, definitely learn like hello, thank you, yes, no, bathroom, that sort of thing. Things that'll get you by just in case someone doesn't know English, or just so that way you want to be able to make a few friends. And speaking of making friends, you'll notice that while a lot of the Dutch people do speak English to you and definitely can converse with you in English, it is important to know that it might be harder to make friends who live here because they do speak to each other in Dutch. So if you're thinking about moving here, you're going to be an expat, or you just are wanting to make a lot of new friends when you're here, you might run into an issue with a lot of people speaking to each other in Dutch on the streets and that sort of thing, and you don't know what they're saying. So be aware of that. Brush up on a few of those Dutch words, and then count on everybody at least to be able to get you by with English. And my next tip for visiting Amsterdam is when you're here, do be sure to watch out for bicycles. There are bicycles that will be coming from all directions, sometimes on the sidewalks, definitely when you're crossing the streets. And the important thing to know about that, if you're coming from, say, America, is that bicycles have much more of the right of way here in Amsterdam and in the Netherlands in general than they do in America. In America, they kind of have to follow the car traffic laws. And here in the Netherlands, if you're crossing a bike lane, the bikes are coming first. So make sure to know that bicycles are very, very common here, and especially if you're going to be in Amsterdam on a weekday during rush hour, that's when there are bikes absolutely everywhere. So always be checking both ways, like multiple times. The red bike lanes are the ones that you want to be very careful about when you are crossing. And just know that the bike culture here runs very deep and is very well respected, and almost everybody goes from point A to point B on bicycle, and almost everybody owns a bike at home. In fact, there are many ways that you can rent bicycles when you're here if you want to give out the bicycle culture a try, so look into that when you're researching your time in Amsterdam.
It's time to quickly introduce all of you to Kitsch, who have kindly sponsored today's video. Their products were absolute essentials for me on this recent 27-day 5-country Europe trip which ended in Amsterdam. Before I left, I packed my Kitsch Shave Butter Bar for shaving, their Strengthening Rice Shampoo Bar, their Coconut Oil Deep Moisturizing Conditioner Bar, as well as a couple of their refillable flat pack pouches for my face wash and lotion to save space in my liquids bag in my luggage. Thanks to those Kitsch products working so well and lasting so long, I never had to spend money on toiletries during my entire trip. And even still, I had a strong supply when I flew home, as you just saw. I started using their products because they help me save so much room in my liquids bag when I go through security, and that's why I've mentioned them before in this channel. I feel like the rice shampoo does a really good job at making my hair feel really clean and rinses out all of the grime from exploring around all day and throughout weeks of travel. And the conditioner bar actually lathers up really well in my opinion and hydrates my hair. I can really feel a difference in how silky and rehydrated my hair feels after using the bar products. Oh, and the shave butter bar is literally wonderful as a highly moisturizing alternative to messy shave creams and bulky shave gel containers. Now that I've been home for a few weeks, I've had some time to test out some of their new products that they've sent me. Their beauty bar bags are pretty cool in that they help me create a lather really easily when I use them with the bars. You just suds up the bar while it's in the mesh bag, and then when you're done with your shower, you hang the bag with the bar inside in the shower to dry. Now that I have quite the collection of their bar products, I've really been liking their shower caddy to help the soaps drain individually while I use them at home and save up so much space instead of putting them side by side individually on the surfaces in the shower. Some of the things that I like and really resonate with me about the Kitsch brand is that it's cruelty-free and also plastic bottle-free, which of course is great for the environment. All of their bar shampoos and conditioners also do not contain any harsh chemicals such as sulfates, parabens, phthalates, etc., which make them color safe. Those chemicals are always good for anyone to avoid in their toiletries, but it's especially important to me right now while I'm currently pregnant and avoiding harsh chemicals in my day-to-day routines. Oh, and they also, just so you know, make satin pillowcases to prevent hair breakage, which I have been using for years, one on my bed at home. If any of these products sound good to you or like they might make really good gifts for your travel pals, check out the link in the description box below this video to get 25% off your first order from Kitsch with my discount code. Kitsch ships to over 27 countries, including the USA, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and more. And there's even a subscription discount if you want to be ordering from them regularly. Thank you so much again to Kitsch for sponsoring, and now back to more Amsterdam tips.
Okay, my next tip for what to know when you're going to be visiting Amsterdam is that Dutch food, while it's not known very well internationally, there's actually a lot of Dutch culinary delights to try when you are here. So do be sure to seek out some of the local Dutch cuisine and give those a try, see if you're going to like them. If you are a big sushi fan or just like fish in general, seafood, then definitely give pickled herring a try. I highly recommend it. I genuinely really like it and think that everybody should at least give it a try to see how they like it themselves. And then also, if you are going to be seeking out local Dutch foods, there's an Albert Kuip market street in Amsterdam that has a lot of these that I'm about to talk about. So a few others that you might want to be looking out for, some snacks that you might see either on the go or maybe at a bar, might be bitterballen, which is like a little fried dough ball filled with kind of like a gravy substance. And then there's stroopwafels, which are so good, such a great delicacy dessert. And they're like little circular waffles, oftentimes dipped in like caramel or chocolate. Some other ones that I really like are, of course, the Dutch apple pie. You can get those on dessert menus at a lot of restaurants around town. And the last one I should mention is aged Gouda, or Gouda, as they say here in the Netherlands. And that is a cheese that, in my opinion and most people's opinions, gets better and better with age. So when you're walking around town here, you're gonna see a lot of those cheese shops that are so fun to visit because they have samples out that you can try different samples of the different cheeses, and you can taste the difference between the new Gouda cheese versus a 14-month or a 24-month or even a 36-month version, and figure out which version of that same cheese that you might like the best. And while we're talking about food, I want to also add that while there's a ton of Dutch foods to try, there's actually a lot of restaurants here from all over the world, and that really speaks to how international the population of Amsterdam is and how the history of Amsterdam was a trading port for hundreds and hundreds of years back to the Golden Age. So you are going to find restaurants from all different cultures. There's especially ones that I would recommend trying are ones of former Dutch colonies. So be sure to look into Indonesian food when you're here. Suriname, I believe, is another option. And then also, I mean, if you're just really in the mood for even like Thai food or perhaps Italian food, you're gonna find tons of options for those things as well. So make sure to know that it's not just Dutch food when you're here. There's so much to choose from that you will be overwhelmed by choice with all of the different restaurants here. By the way, if you're liking this video so far and finding it helpful for preparing for your upcoming trip to the Netherlands, then definitely press the thumbs up button and the red subscribe button down below. It really helps support my channel way more than you know, so thank you in advance for that. And my next must-know tip for what to know before you visit Amsterdam is be sure before you come to get tickets in advance for all of the museums that are like must-sees on your list. There are several museums that are extremely popular here to visit and only offer a certain amount of tickets per day, and you need to be sure to book well in advance. For example, the Anne Frank Museum, the Van Gogh Museum, and even the Rijksmuseum, the art museum here, are important to book online and book your entry, and actually that really helps you plan your days too. So that way you're not waiting in lines trying to get last minute tickets, which for some museums aren't even really a thing, and you can make sure to plan everything else around those visits. There are tons of museums here in Amsterdam too to choose from, so even the top museums that you've probably heard of before aren't the only ones to really like think about and select. There's other museums that are really, really cool too. There's the Museum of the Tropics. There's the Dutch Resistance Museum if for some reason you can't get into the Anne Frank Museum but you really want to learn about what World War II was like here in occupied Amsterdam. And there's just so many more choices, so whatever your interests are, you're going to be able to find a museum here that kind of caters to that. So do be sure to see if you need to book anything in advance, but then also figure out what makes the most sense for your own personal interests and itinerary. And another tip for what to know before you visit Amsterdam is that a lot of the people that you're going to meet in like the hotels and the tourism industry here actually don't live in Amsterdam proper. Amsterdam has become more and more expensive for locals, and especially people in the tourism industry find it harder and harder to live here because different beautiful homes and houseboats like these have been over time being turned into like hotels and Airbnbs and other things that cater to tourism, and so a lot of people end up having to commute in. There's a ton of towns right around the Amsterdam area, and even Amsterdam North or Amsterdam Noord, there's a lot of new development up there. So you will find that a lot of the people that you maybe start talking to in the bars and restaurants actually say that they ride their bike into the city each day for their shifts or something like that. So understand that even the people that you might be encountering within the tourist district here might be commuters or visitors in certain ways as well, and not necessarily like live down the block. Next must-know tip before you visit Amsterdam is that public transportation is extremely easy here and abundant, and honestly might be your best option over, say, renting a car or counting on Ubers because of how much easier the system has been created for the public transit system versus car infrastructure. So what I'll say is do know that the public transit system is extremely safe here and that it is very consistent, reliable, etc. I think it's really easy to navigate, especially because in most ticket kiosks you can click the little English button when you're trying to buy a ticket, and so it's just gonna walk you through in English and everything like that as well. So when you arrive at Schiphol Airport outside of Amsterdam, there's a ton of direct trains that leave like multiple times per hour that go from the airport directly into the city, and you can easily hop on one of those. And from Amsterdam Central Station, or the Central Station, you can easily jump on a bus, a tram, and get around town with great ease. So make sure you know that the public transportation system is probably going to be your best option for getting around town when you're here. And you can even buy a GVB card in order to have kind of like a daily pass when you're here. They sell passes from anywhere from like 1-day passes to 7-day passes. So depending on your length of stay, it really might make a lot of sense to buy a pass if you're going to be hopping around town via the public transit system for sure. Also too, if you're staying right outside the city like I am on this trip, I'm staying in Haarlem, the train system operates all throughout the day and it has a ton of different options as well for getting to and from those destinations too. So for example, there's multiple trains per hour for me to get home from right here in Amsterdam to Haarlem today. And so it's certainly a great option for if you're going to save money and stay outside of the city, then you can jump on the trains, and usually they are running very on time and are very quick. Another tip for what to know before visiting Amsterdam is for when you're planning your itinerary, do know that it takes multiple days to see all of the top sites in Amsterdam. It's a very walkable city, very compact, but there is a lot to see here. It is an extremely culturally dense city to visit. There's so many museums, there's Vondel Park, there's all the canal tours that you can take, and so much more that I'm not even mentioning that you are going to want to likely do when you're here, and you're probably going to need at least, I would call it 3 days to see all of the top things. So when you're planning your stay here, just know that 24 hours in Amsterdam, you're just going to be brushing the surface and you're probably going to want to budget a little bit more time to stay here and really take in this city. Last and final tip for what to know before you visit Amsterdam is to, if you have time in your schedule, try to schedule a day for a day trip outside of the city. As I mentioned, public transit can be a great option for that, but there's also a lot of tours that you can take that take care of that for you. But there's so many great choices to choose from. If you're here in the springtime, in the window of time that has the Keukenhof Gardens, that is a phenomenal choice to go see the tulips in bloom over there. It is an extremely massive multi-acre garden that is just covered with tulips and really well done, well planned. You can go see a bucolic windmill kind of in multiple places around the country. You can go to the seaside here, and you can explore a lot of the other Dutch towns that are within an easy train ride from Amsterdam. So some choices for those are Haarlem, like where I'm staying, Leiden, The Hague, Delft. Delft is actually really cool because you can see the Delftware pottery being made at the local factory there. There's Utrecht. There's so many choices, and there are a lot of really cool Dutch cities that exist beyond Amsterdam. So do your research and figure out what sounds the best for you and your interests, and definitely be sure to look into Daytrips. So I hope you liked my top 10 tips for all the must-knows that you need to know before you visit Amsterdam. If there are any tips that I've missed and you have visited Amsterdam before, or you live here and you want to make sure that other travelers know about them before they visit, definitely put them in the comment section down below, because we always love learning from each other on this channel and in this community.
And thanks again to Kitsch for sponsoring this video. Be sure to scope out their full product line at the link in the video description below, and use my promo code for 25% off your first order so you can try them out at home or on your next trip.
Also too, if you haven't already, please press that thumbs up button down below and the red subscribe button. It really helps support all of the free travel content that I put out on YouTube, and helps you not miss any of the Amsterdam travel videos, Netherlands travel videos, travel vlogs, travel tips, all of the travel content that I have on this channel and to come. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Happy travels. Bye.
Hey travelers, don't forget to subscribe, and let's hang out more. Here are some links to other helpful travel videos on my channel, and press that notification bell so you don't miss any new and awesome travel videos to come.